So here we are again, folks. Welcome to Friday Night Tech Talk. I'm Mobile Geezer. You're on my channel. We do this every Friday night from 8 o'clock Eastern Time in the U.S., but we have people joining us from different parts of the world. Very grateful about that, and certainly from different parts of the U.S. For those who are new here, I've been doing this, I guess, about 4.5 years. I think we may have only missed one Friday night in all that time. Started this with Will and Mike. Both of those guys are in New Jersey, and all of our regulars. Mike probably won't be joining us, I guess, for a while because he started doing DoorDash in his free time, which Friday night is part of his free time. So I guess he's out DoorDashing right now. If you saw his Friday vlog today, he talked about that. He said it's like a whole new world and he's learning lots of new stuff. Matter of fact, one of the places I gathered that's helping keep him busy was the hotel that I stayed at last time I was up there broadcasting with them. So I gather that's a college, very much in the college area. So of course that keeps him busy. So let's wish him luck on that, and hopefully he'll be able to buy lots of stuff for his channel. So not sure, of course, as usual, about Will or Ted if they join us. Last week, who was it? Was it Brian or one of the guys got Will to come in, even though I guess he hadn't planned to. And of course, it made the broadcast much better. But if you're new here, I have the show notes up on my website every Friday night. Let me take off some of my branding here and show you that. I'm going to share screen. And I'm going to look at my website. So that's at mobilegeezer.wordpress.com. If you click on today's date, you'll get just the show notes for tonight's show. And every week I put these show notes up here so you can follow along and follow the articles as I read them. And I usually read them through. Sometimes I jump around some, but the idea is to give you an idea. And the hot phones this week were all for Mobile World Congress, so not U.S. phones. So I didn't put any phone stuff in the stories tonight. I try to come up with stories that are either relevant or interesting, and maybe you haven't heard them from every place else. So tonight we're going to be starting with the iPhone 15 USB-C, which we've been talking about for a year now, that the iPhone is going to start using USB-C, mostly because of pressure from the EU, but their port may still be proprietary. I probably should have said may be partially proprietary, and you'll see what I mean from that. And I got that story from 9 to 5 Mac, but of course it was in a lot of different places. And I found this little story. It's a very short story. Qualcomm's iSIM better than eSIM? Found that on CNET. So just a comparison to Qualcomm makes their own SIM. It's called an iSIM, and it's part of the actual SIM. It's part of the actual, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, wait a minute. I've got some comments here, too. Okay. I'm going to continue down. YouTube has a new CEO. And I said YouTube's new CEO has plans for AI, but keeps them vague. That's on CNET. And then Twitter was down for 2 hours on Wednesday worldwide, but it was just down in 2 places. It wasn't completely down. So we'll go over that. And then if any of you have heard of the therapy site called BetterHelp, and I have a number of bigger YouTubers that I follow who have been advertising for them for about, I guess, 6 or 7 months now. I see them. It's usually sites that have a few 100,000 at least subscribers, and but the government's after them because they have been not telling the truth to the public. So they've been sharing consumers' health data. So that got them in a lot of trouble. And the last story is going to be about the Pixel Watch finally has fall detection. That's going to be on Android Authority. Oh, and the last story was going to be on The Verge. So those are going to be the stories for tonight. And let me stop screen here. And let's see who. Oh, the first one in tonight was Renz. Renz got in here even before he went to work, which I'm very grateful about that. And then Eleanor got in here. She's not feeling good. Please keep her in prayer. And Days One just got in here. I wonder how hard it would be to get certification. I have no idea. I assume he means Twitter. Days One, let me know if you mean anything else. So, like I said, Mike probably won't be joining us for a while. Will and Ted, if they join, they join. And we'll see if either one of them come in the comments. But anything you have to say, please say to me in the comments, and hopefully we can keep a good conversation going here. I was watching, whose was it? Flossie Carter's review of the Galaxy S23 Ultra. It was almost 2 hours long, but it was interesting and absolutely in-depth. I would highly recommend going to see his review of the Galaxy S23 Ultra. So let's start up with the stories. Let me go back to sharing screen. I'll try to keep an eye out for anybody else who's joining. And I'm going to share screen. And just want to make sure people know they're being said hello to. All right. So let's start with the iPhone 15 USB-C port. And you'll see what I mean by it might still be somewhat proprietary. And this was on 9 to 5 Mac. USB-C iPhone speeds will be limited if you use non-MFi cables. That means made for the iPhone cables, claims a leaker. And this was by Ben Lovejoy, and it was a few days ago. So let's put this into reader view and get rid of some of these ads. Okay. Those of us who've been waiting impatiently for a USB-C iPhone so we can finally use a single set of cables for all our Apple devices will be getting our wish in this year's iPhone 15 lineup. But a leaker with a decent track record warns that there may be a catch. Shrimp Apple Pro, who got hardware details right for the iPhone 14, says that we'll need to use a new lineup of MFi USB-C cables to get full functionality. Again, MFi means made for iPhone. I had to look that up. Of course, I didn't know what it meant. Apple began to switch to USB-C cables with Macs, the 12-inch MacBook being the first model to get the then new port back in 2015. The company went all in on USB-C ports in the MacBook Pro a year later before backtracking a bit in 2021 by restoring MagSafe HDMI and SD card slots. The iPad made the switch from Lightning to USB-C in 2018. Yes, my 2020 iPad Pro has USB-C with the 11-inch and 12.9-inch iPad Pro models. But the iPhone continued to use a Lightning port all the way up to the current iPhone 14. That's set to change with the iPhone 15 when Apple will finally replace Lightning with USB-C for wired charging and data transfer. And of course, you all know that mostly from pressure from the EU. Otherwise, they would have either lost business or had to pay huge fines. However, Shrimp Apple Pro, who established credibility with Dynamic Island and iPhone 14 RAM leak says there will be a catch. Yes, USB-C with M.PHY is happening. Foxconn already in mass production accessories like earpods and cables, so I guess so. Cables with no M.PHY will be software limited in data and charging speed. So they'll be limiting the software if they're not made for iPhone compatible. We're already expecting the base model iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Plus to have their data transfer speeds capped to USB 2.0, while the Pro models will get dramatically faster transfers. Kuo says that the iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Plus will retain the same USB 2.0 transfer speeds as Lightning, so that won't change. This means data transfer speeds will be capped at 480 megabits per second. This continues Apple's strategy of further bifurcating the iPhone lineup between the Pro and non-Pro models. So yeah, the non-Pro gets one speed, the Pro gets another. As such, Kuo reports that the iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max or Ultra will feature at least USB-C 3.2 or Thunderbolt 3 data transfer speeds. USB-C 3.2 could improve data transfer speeds to as high as 20 gigabits per second, while Thunderbolt 3 would boost that even further to 40 gigabits per second. But if this latest report is true, then the Pro models will only get those speeds if you use either official Apple cables or third-party ones with the M.PHY certification. So they're going to make sure you're locked in, at least with the higher ones, if you want faster speed. Wired charging speeds will also be limited without approved cables. This could potentially mean that we can't use all our existing USB-C cables if we want to get full capabilities from the two Pro models. So all the ones we already have probably won't work on the two Pros. 95 Matt's take, USB-C has always been a hot mess, both for data transfer and charging. It's a standard physical format, but the capabilities available through USB-C ports and cables are anything but standard. When it comes to data transfer, the same physical ports and cables can give you anything from 0 in cables wired for charging but not data, through 480 megabits per second to 40 gigabits per second. For power, you need to know whether your cable supports USB-C power delivery, USB-C PD, and if so, which version. Apple offering, I didn't know it was that much of a hot mess, so I'm learning too. Apple offering limited faster data transfer speeds to the Pro models, as Kuo suggests, seems likely. But requiring M.PHY chipped USB-C cables to get full speeds on those models would feel to me like a step too far. It sure feels like Apple to me. There are many Apple customers who have decent quality third-party USB-C cables. We're happily using them with our Macs and iPads. So for Apple to turn around and require us to replace them to activate the capabilities of a shiny new iPhone 15 Pro would be a slap in the face. Nothing new there as far as I can tell. And don't think I'm bashing Apple. I ordered another Apple project myself today. I'll tell you what it is later, probably further another show. We very much hope this report is wrong, but it does feel worryingly like Apple-like these days. I agree. So that's what we have. I guess that's what we have to look forward to. Keep in mind, this is still rumor, but Kuo is usually right about his rumors, so I wouldn't be a bit surprised. So let's see what we have over in the comments. Yeah, Dave's one said, okay, certification. He wondered how hard it would be to get certification for the iPhone. So got you, sir. Ren says, busy as usual, but thanks for asking, Days. Okay. Yeah, Ren manages to keep up on his job, even though he gets busy, which I'm very pleased about and very flattered, too. Dave says, here, you're busy here, too. I've missed lots of lives lately. Oh, lots of live shows, I'm sure. So I guess days must be working too. I'm not sure though. Okay. So that's all we have in the comments. Nobody's coming yet, so it's probably going to be a short show today, but we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to go down to the next story. This is very short. Qualcomm's iSIM better than eSIM. This was on CNET, so let's pull that up. And it says, look out eSIMs. Future phones could use more efficient iSIMs. The eSIM alternative iSIM will integrate SIM functionality directly on a smartphone's processor, which is what I was trying to say before, starting with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which is what's in the current 23 Ultra, which I have here, and also the new OnePlus 11. So, don't know if they're turning that on in those yet. So let's put this in reader view. And this is by David Lum, and it's from a few days ago. It's 2023, and even with the holidays behind us, you're probably buying things online more than ever. That's true. Pardon me. But whether you're looking for a gift or just nabbing some household basics, how do you know if you're actually getting the best price? That's where CNET shopping comes in. This browser extension, I don't want to read that part. I see what happens. When I flipped it to reader view, we got something different. So I guess we'll stay out of reader view for this one. Okay. Sorry about that. In addition to physical SIM cards storing your carrier's subscription info and contacts, over the last few years, phone makers have been offering eSIMs embedded into phones to easily switch between service providers without swapping out a physical card. But chip maker Qualcomm has a new way to digitally swap service, the iSIM, or integrated SIM, which could be a faster and cheaper alternative. While eSIMs are installed on silicon somewhere within phones, iSIMs are located directly on the processor and should let you similarly manage carrier profiles digitally on the phone. And yes, I know so many of us don't like the whole eSIM thing, but at least it seems like there'll be an alternative and maybe a cheaper alternative. According to Qualcomm, this leads to lower cost and better efficiency since iSIMs need fewer components and take up less space. That could make iSIMs more appealing for cheaper phones and other connected devices like tablets and wearables, the company said in a press release. Since iSIMs draw significantly less power than eSIMs, they'll be ideal for Internet of Things devices, according to blog post by cybersecurity company Thales, which partnered with Qualcomm in developing iSIMs. The first chip to use iSIMs is Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset. But Qualcomm didn't indicate whether top-tier Android phones that have already shipped with the chip, like the Samsung Galaxy S23 series or the OnePlus 11, will be able to use iSIM. So we have no idea. Qualcomm didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. So let's start screen. So it's in here on the S23 Ultra, but can we turn it on for iSIM? I don't think I'd want to anyway. The only phone I'm using that has eSIM, of course, is the iPhone 14. But it looks like that's the future, so I guess we all have to get used to it. So I'm glad we have some alternatives. So let's see. Annette's in here. Hi, Annette. Glad to have you aboard as usual. Everybody's saying hello. So, Annette, you probably missed Mike is now doing DoorDash, which I guess is where he is tonight. So he probably won't be around much for a while. So that's why he's not in here. And of course, I don't know about Will and Ted as always. So I just want to make you aware of that. So we're going to go down to our next story. So YouTube's new CEO has plans for AI, but keeps them vague. So this is on CNET. So YouTube's new CEO says he'll balance generative AI's creativity with responsibility. A letter from Neil Mohan, heavy on generalizations and light on specifics. It says YouTube will cultivate AI's creative opportunities with thoughtful guardrails. Yeah, that's pretty vague. Okay, so let's see if I can put this into real. And this is by Joan E. Salzman, and it's from 2 days ago. Let's see if I can put this in review and still get the, yes. YouTube's new CEO, Neil Mohan, outlined the 2023 priorities for Google's massive video service in a letter Wednesday, calling out how he wants to explore the creative opportunities of generative artificial intelligence while setting thoughtful guardrails for it. Yeah, what the heck does that mean? That's like all these trucking companies that are called logistics. I think logistics is just what they put when they don't want you to know what they do. And the thoughtful guardrails is kind of the same thing, I think. The power of AI is just beginning to emerge in ways that will reinvent video and make the seemingly impossible possible, Mohan wrote in the letter, adding that the company is taking the time to develop these AI features with safeguards in place. Let's hope so, since they're already insulting everybody, as I showed you last week. Stay tuned in the coming months as we roll out tools for creators as well as the protections to embrace this technology responsibly. Yes, that's kind of important. This kind of annual letter of priorities was a tradition of Mohan's predecessor and mentor, Susan Wojcicki, who announced she was stepping down as YouTube CEO about 2 weeks earlier. As we think through our product roadmap, we're not just planning for the next few years. This is a critical moment in the creation of digital video, and we're imagining what the future of creation will look like, Mohan wrote. He said he's aiming to give creators more formats for creativity and additional ways to make money. Well, that's a good thing. At least I think it's a good thing. Among the new stats noted in the letter, Mohan pointed out YouTube has captioned more than 6 billion videos. So a lot of people using captions. More than 1 billion viewers daily are watching with captions enabled. YouTube generated 2 trillion views of gaming-related content last year. Well, we knew there were a lot of gamers on YouTube. 6 million views paid for YouTube channel memberships in December, a 20% increase from a year earlier. Mohan also said that Shorts, YouTube's TikTok rival, would roll out a creation tool this year that lets you record a side-by-side with both Shorts and regular YouTube videos. That sounds cool. To share reactions. I think I've only done one short. I have to get into more of them. He reiterated that shorts are averaging 50 billion daily views. That's pretty good. And said that the number of YouTube channels that uploaded shorts daily grew 80% last year. Yeah, I definitely need to get into that. Last year was also the first full year that the shorts format was available globally. He called out TVs as a continuing area of growth, as well as a newer focus on podcasts, such as a plan to integrate RSS to give podcasters another way to upload their shows to YouTube and to let podcast listeners have another listening option. That's good. On Wednesday, Mohan noted in his letter that YouTube would continue to push its stance to policymakers, including debates related to possible changes to Section 230, and that's a hot topic in Congress, of the Communications Decency Act in the U.S., European proposals that may limit political speech, and Bill C-11 in Canada, which a lot of people in Canada are fighting about that. Editor's note, CNET is using an AI engine to create some personal finance explainers that are edited and fact-checked by our editor. So they're already using AI to generate some of this stuff. And they have a correction that this story originally gave an incorrect figure for gaming-related videos. It's 2 trillion, but they got that corrected up here, so that worked out okay. So, guess there'll be a lot of AI in YouTube upcoming. So, I thought that was interesting, although he is very vague about it. So, let's stop screen here and see what else we have. And Don's in there. Hey, Don. Don's down in Oklahoma. Annette, I know, is out in California. I'm surprised we haven't seen Brian or Gary as yet. They must be busy. Hopefully we will. So none of the other guys have come in. And that says we'll miss Mike. Yes, we will. But if he's making money, that'll get him some more tech for his channel. That's great with me. All right, let's continue on. Definitely going to be a short show tonight. Okay, next story. Yeah, Twitter was down for 2 hours. And I said after 200 more layoffs. And this was on BBC News. So let's take a look at that story. And this was 2 days ago, so on Wednesday. Twitter back after 2-hour outage affected tweets. The funny thing was, it wasn't a complete outage. It was just partial, but you'll see that in the story. So, and they don't put who's writing the stories, I don't think. So let's go into read a view. Okay. Thousands of people around the world were unable to use Twitter for 2 hours on Wednesday after the social network suffered another outage. The following and For You feeds, those are the two things that didn't work, which displayed tweets on the platform's homepage, instead carried a notice reading, "Welcome to Twitter," which you'll see further down. The outage tracking site Down Detector reported the issues at 10 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time in London, but they appeared to be resolved by 12 o'clock, so it was a 2-hour outage. More than 5,000 people in the UK alone reported problems to Down Detector within half an hour of the fault appearing, with many more affected worldwide. The For You feed, a collection of tweets from people similar to those they follow, seemed to be reinstated just an hour after the initial issue emerged, but the following feed, which collects tweets from people who users are following on Twitter, took longer to be fixed. The site's search tool is also working again after it briefly stopped displaying any tweets in the latest tab. And that's what you saw instead when it both were down. Would-be Twitter users were met with this message. So you could still tweet, which you'll see here. Despite the feeds not working, users, remind me, I'm just kicking my wires underneath. Despite the feeds not working, users were still able to tweet as normal, even if their tweets were falling on deaf ears, leading to phrases "Twitter down" and "Welcome to Twitter" registering among the top trends on the platform. I sounded like Elmer Fudd, didn't I? Twins? Okay. There have been several intermittent outages in recent months. During a temporary outage in early February, users were told they were over the daily limit for sending tweets. Yeah, I remember that. Probably we all do. It's unclear whether the latest outage was linked to recent staff cuts, with the New York Times reporting that tech giant had cut 10% of its current 2,000-strong workforce this week alone. So one could be the outflow of the other. The cuts are the latest round of job losses at Twitter since Chief Executive Elon Musk sacked nearly half of the company's 7,500 employees when he took over the company in October 2022. Experts have warned major job cuts could trigger technical issues, so maybe it did. Alp Toker, director of Internet Outage Tracker NetBlock, says Twitter's reliability issues have increased under Mr. Musk's tenure as CEO. That's true. It started shortly before the Musk takeover itself, he said, but added the main spike has happened after the takeover, with 4 to 5 incidents a month, which was comparable to what used to happen in a year. So they used to get 4 to 5 in a year. Now it's 4 to 5 a month. Mr. Toker said he believed recent outages were avoidable and the vast majority could be traced back to problems with Twitter's data center. And I do remember Musk kind of indicating he was willing to take some hits like this if he could get the company running the way he wanted, but we don't know whether or not the job cuts caused this. He described the Twitter data center as a complex network whose ongoing maintenance was essential to keep the site running. It has a testing stage for new features, explained Mr. Toker, but following the Musk takeover, it appears these data center testing timelines are no longer being followed. That's probably true. Today's outage was quite an extended one, but not a total one, which was interesting. And we trace that back to the data center also. That makes sense. The BBC has approached Twitter for comment. I gather they didn't get any. So just wanted to, I wasn't even aware that Twitter was out 2 days ago, but I was doing other things. I'm always busy anyway. So let's get this out of here. Okay, stop screen for a second. Let's see. Okay, yeah, Days one. I didn't even know Twitter went down at all. Yeah, same here, Days. I didn't know it. Hey, we're busy guys. I guess we can't keep up with everything, especially for a partial 2-hour outage. That makes sense. Pardon me. So I have 2 more stories left here. So let's go back to sharing screen. Okay. And I said, a BetterHelp professional therapy site caught sharing consumers' health data. And this was on The Verge. And I think this is pretty bad for a health therapy site. But let's go to The Verge and show you what I mean. BetterHelp, and like I said, I've seen BetterHelp being sponsors for some of the bigger, or at least some of the sites that I follow who have 100,000 or a few 100,000 or more. So I have seen them sponsoring some of the creators. So BetterHelp shared customer data while promising it was private, says FTC. Yeah, FTC is not going to like that. It could have to pay up to $7.8 million to settle the charges that it misled consumers, and I think they should. And you'll see as we go down the story, they were doing some outright lying too. So, cut into Reader View. This was by Mitchell Clark, and this was yesterday. Online counseling company BetterHelp has agreed to pay $7.8 million to settle charges from the FTC that it improperly shared customers' sensitive data with companies like Facebook and Snapchat. Isn't that wonderful? Even after promising to keep it private. The proposed order announced by the FTC on Thursday would ban the same behavior in the future and require BetterHelp to make some changes in how it handles customer data. Let's hope so. According to the regulator, the sign-up process for the company service promised customers that it would not use or disclose their personal health data except for limited purposes. However, the FTC alleges that the company instead used and revealed consumers' email addresses, IP addresses, and get this, health questionnaire information. So they're showing their health information to Facebook, Snapchat, Criteo, and Pinterest for advertising purposes. The FTC also said the company gave customer service agents, now get this, false scripts to try and reassure users that it wasn't sharing personally identifiable or personal health information. So they were lying straight up. After a February 2020 report from Jezebel, I never heard of Jezebel, good name, exposed some of its practices. The commission's complaint accuses the company of misleading customers by putting a HIPAA seal, get this, on its website, despite the fact that no government agency or third-party reviewed BetterHelp's information practices for compliance with HIPAA let alone determine that the practices met the requirements of HIPAA. So once again, almost outright lying. BetterHelp betrayed consumers' most personal health information for profit. And I don't think they profited outright, but they found a way, said Samuel Levine, FTC Bureau of Consumer Protection Director, according to the agency's press release. The commission says that used consumers' email addresses and the fact that they had previously been in therapy to instruct Facebook to identify similar consumers and target them with advertisements. Now get this, helping it bring in tens of thousands of new paying users and millions of days in radio. So they weren't necessarily being paid by Facebook, but Facebook had so much data, they ended up getting many new customers. So they did profit from this. If the FTC's order ends up going through, the $7.8 million would go to customers who signed up for the service between August 1st, 2017 and December 31st, 2020. So I hadn't even heard of them back then, but I gather that's the cutoff, end of 2020. Here are some of the other things BetterHelp would be required to do. Stop sharing individually identifiable information about consumers' mental health. Okay, thanks. With any third parties. Stop misrepresenting, I would say lying, its data collection and use policies. Alert customers who created accounts before January 1st, 2021, so they need to all be notified that their personal info may have been used for advertising. Obtain affirmative express consent from a customer before sharing information with a third party. You think? Reach out to third parties that receive, now get this, that receive customer information and ask that it be deleted. Can you imagine asking Facebook to delete it and expecting it to be done? I mean, come on. Establish a comprehensive privacy program and have an independent third party carry out privacy assessments. The requirements would largely be in place for the next 20 years. Good. The FTC says that the agreement will go through a 30-day public comment period before it makes a final decision on whether to put it into effect. I hope they do. It's worth noting, though, that the proposal passed the commission by a 4-0 vote. Good. So it does seem to have a fair amount of support. By agreeing to the order, BetterHelp isn't admitting or denying many of the allegations brought against it by the FCC. In a statement posted to its website, then get this, the company calls its practices industry standard. Yeah, we're going to share everybody's information after we said we wouldn't. But says we understand the FTC's desire to set new precedents around consumer marketing, and we are happy to settle this matter with the agency. Sure you are, even though you were making money the other way, more money the other way. It also clarifies that it's never shared information like members' names or clinical data from therapy sessions with advertisers, publishers, social media platforms, or any other similar third party. So they never shared their names or clinical data. But what they did share, where were we? Email addresses, IP addresses. You don't think Facebook could go back and figure out who you are? Come on. Okay. It's far from the first time that concerns have been raised about BetterHelp. I didn't know that. Or other online mental health care providers. Last year, lawmakers, including Senator Elizabeth Warren and Ron Wyden, sent a letter to BetterHelp asking for information on what data the service collected and how it was used. Yeah, but how can you depend on him to tell you the truth? And how it interacted and disclosed its dealings with online advertisers and social media companies. Mozilla has also said that when it reviewed 32 mental health apps, it found that 28 of them shared people's info with other companies. So yeah, now I see why they call it standard, because everybody's doing it. While selling people's mental health data isn't necessarily illegal, even if they haven't given consent, according to a report from the Washington Post, the FTC has been cracking down, I hope they do it more, on companies that are doing it improperly. Earlier this year, it fined GoodRx $1.5 million for sending health data to companies like Google and Facebook and barred the company from doing so again in the future. So kind of important, I think. So I'm glad they got caught, and I hope the FTC cracks down hard on them. Let's get rid of this. Stop screen for a moment. Okay, nothing new in the comments. So I'll go on with my last story. Okay. And this was the last story I had for tonight. So Pixel Watch now has fall detection also. I said also because we already had it on the Apple Watch, which I'm wearing today. And this was on Android Authority. So, and this was from a few days ago. Google Pixel Watch can now track your tumbles with fall detection. A promised safety feature arrives on Google's first smartwatch. And I tried implementing it. I'm thinking I still need to update my watch because I didn't see what they said I should see on the app, but you'll see as we go down. So let's go to read a view. Okay, so I'm looking at this fall detected. I fell and need help, and I'm thinking at my age I should probably say I've fallen and I can't get up. Just my thought at my age. Anyway, Google has finally rolled out fall detection to the Google Pixel Watch. When the watch originally launched, the feature was promised to arrive sometime in winter, so they kept that promise. Now, existing users can enable fall detection for future use. Tapping its existing sensors, the watch uses machine learning to recognize if a user takes a hard fall and does not get up immediately. More importantly, Google extensively tested the feature to differentiate between minor trips or workouts and actual falls with safety concerns. That's good because on my Apple Watch, occasionally when I'm bicycle riding, if I intentionally go off a curb, it thinks I've had a crash. The feature automatically springs into action when the Pixel Watch detects a real fall. After 30 seconds, without detecting user movement, the watch will emit an alarm and vibrate on the user's wrist. That's good. It will also display an on-screen prompt with two options: I fell and need help, or I'm okay. You can tap I'm okay to dismiss the feature if you are in fact okay. If not, tapping I fell and need help will connect the device to emergency services. Very good. If you fail to tap either option, the watch will emit a louder alarm. That's good too. After about a minute, it will automatically connect to emergency services. Once help is reached, the watch will play an automated message requesting assistance. If you are able, you can speak to the operator instead to explain your situation. To start utilizing, now this is what I tried to do, and it's not showing up on my Pixel yet. To start utilizing the new feature, open the Pixel Watch app on your paired phone and look for the promotional card on the updates page, which I did not find. So like I said, I think I have to update my watch, which I'm not wearing today, but I will be wearing tomorrow. To enable it right from your wrist, open the personal safety app and tap the toggle next to fall detection. Do note that if you don't have an LTE enabled Pixel Watch, which I don't, you will need your watch to be actively connected to a smartphone via Bluetooth for this to work, which is always true in my case. While this safety measure may be new to Pixel Watch, it is not new to wearables in general. Both last year's Apple Watch Series 8 and Galaxy Watch 5, I didn't know that, offer fall detection because my Galaxy Watch 4 Classic, I don't think has fall detection. It's encouraging to see Google continue to support this first generation device. These improvements to the smartwatch narrow the gap between Pixel Watch and current industry leaders. Yeah, I think that's a very good thing. And they kept their promise about getting it out in the winter. So good for them. So let me take it off the view and stop screen for a minute. Okay, nothing new in the comments. So we will go on to our regular weekly last story, which will be, we'll get rid of this, which will be glowing rectangles. Anybody who's new here, every week we tell you about glowing rectangles, and you can find it at reddit.com/r/glowing rectangles. If you go there, you can every day you can put any new video you have, any new vlog or blog, and you'll get a little more exposure. You can put your own there, you can put somebody else's there, and it'll get up and, well, I always want to say up and down votes. I've never seen anybody get down votes. But if you go there and you click top, you'll see what got the most votes for the day. So today, 9 votes for Meet the Unihertz Luna, a nothing phone clone with RGB lights. Okay. Didn't know there was a nothing phone clone. So that got the most upvotes today. Second one's always Ed. Second most number of votes today on a Magic 5 Lite smartphone setup. And then the Rinky Fusion cases are here. And this was who? I saw that. Can't remember who put that there. Let's take a quick look through there. Yeah, that's Jabber Tech. Okay. Amazing AI voice conversion demo. Hadn't seen that at all. So anyway, you can go here. You can post every day, and this is kept up by Juan Bagnell, some gadget guy who you see right here, and he and TK broadcast every week together. TK looks a little tired because he was at MWC and now he's still in Europe, still working, but he insisted on doing their live broadcast today. So good for him. So just wanted you guys to know that you can always go to Glowing Rectangles and post a blog or a vlog and get a little exposure for yourself and for somebody else. So let me stop screen, and that's all she wrote for this week. So hopefully next week, either Will or Ted will join us, and we'll go a little bit longer. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's stories and learned something from today's stories, or at least heard a story that you hadn't heard before. So that's going to be it for this week. I hope everybody has a very blessed and a wonderful weekend. Thanks for everybody coming in. Always appreciate it. And we'll see you next Friday. And let's always remember, we all do better when we love each other.